rebuke from the 11th Circuit the way it happened before.
So incrementally means, oh, it just delays a little bit. It delays a couple of weeks. She waits to delay it until later in the spring, something like that?
Yeah, for example, having the hearing about the way they're going to handle the classified documents, by postponing that, not having the deadline right now to announce which documents are going to be used, all those things are quite time-consuming. And so the more you push that out, the more ultimately that trial date will tend to slip.
So I wanted to ask you about the gag order, because I think we're all like whiplashing around trying to figure out what is exactly happening with it. Why do you think the appellate judge paused the gag order? And what do you think the chances are that it will be fully reinstated? Because we're obviously seeing Trump and his allies sort of act out, shall we say.
Well, I think it's pretty common for appeals courts to want to have that type of a freeze the status quo so that they can fully adjudicate the legal issues. I think it's misapplied here because where the real harm is, usually you have a stay when there's some aspect of damage, irreparable damage can't be undone. There's nothing that can't be undone here if you do restrict his right to speak, because later he'll get to speak as much as he wants. The remedy for First Amendment speech is more speech, really. These are not cases that he's being prosecuted for his speech. What they're talking about here in New York is outside the case. He's saying things that can endanger people, damage the integrity of the process. That's the real danger. So I think it's a mistake to lift that, and we see that from what's happened as soon as it got lifted.
It's also this question of kind of what impacts them, right? Because a lawyer arguing for the judge in the hearing on the gag order said that the clerk is being inundated with messages after her phone number and other personal details were posted on social media by Trump supporters, and that many of those messages are anti-Semitic. I mean, how do those impact the decision of the full appellate panel?
Well, I think the appellate panel really has to consider what kind of threat there is in this sort of a charged atmosphere. And it makes perfect sense to control the judicial process by limiting speech in these circumstances. It's really like the old yelling fire in the theater, which is what they're trying to do. There's kind of a more subtle thing that Trump's lawyers may be doing there, too, which is obviously they've hit a raw spot on the judge's clerk, and they just keep poking that. I think there's a hope that it'll really provoke the judge into a more angry statement, which may give them a better basis for appeal or maybe even a mistrial.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. It doesn't seem to be stopping. We're kind of rolling around every legal case here, but also today, DA Willis also said in her filing that, quote, the state also requests that a final plea date be set for June 21st, 2024. After the final plea date, the defendants will only have the option of non-negotiated pleas. I'm just reading this directly. And the state intends to recommend maximum sentences at any remaining sentencing hearings. It sounds like she's kind of setting a deadline for plea deals for Trump and other remaining co-defendants. Why was that important to include in today's filing, or why was it included?
She really wants to help ramp up the pressure towards pushing that to be a real date. And what she doesn't want to have happen is more delays going on. And what she really wants to do is, of course, get more people to flip. So by saying, this is it, the game of musical chairs is ending, I'm calling it quits at a certain time, she's hoping that'll really pressure some people to come forward.
Shan Wu, from Colorado to every legal case facing Trump around the world and back again. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was great to see you.